to Taking Stock. I'm Amanda Lang. Coming up, 2 men died on a job in Ajax, Ontario this week. A closer look at an unnecessary tragedy. And while politicians bicker about whom is to blame, more hospitals close their doors. The state of healthcare in Canada. Plus, Canadians are in over our heads when it comes to debt, and we don't seem to know it. That's all ahead. First, though, for the week that was in business, it's time for the briefs. Prices climbed another 8.5% in America in July, but the lofty inflation rate is actually lower than expected, a sign that prices may have peaked. Lower gas, clothing, and travel costs all contributed, and overall consumer prices were flat in July from June, the first time in more than 2 years that prices didn't increase on a monthly basis. Even if it slows, though, inflation remains at a level that central banks will feel forced to tackle, meaning borrowing costs will likely climb in the months ahead. As more hospitals across the province of Ontario took the drastic measure of shutting down some services, the province's health minister stirred up political controversy with a suggestion that privatizing parts of the system could be one of the solutions. A shortage of nurses is seen as a key problem. Critics note that a 2019 cap on wages for nurses makes recruitment and retention harder. Canada Revenue made news this week with the unusual announcement that it might owe you money. CRA says $1.4 billion in checks it has sent out over time have yet to be cashed. It's starting a public awareness campaign and making an effort to reach the 9 million Canadians who have not deposited those checks. If you think you might be one of them, head to CRA's website to find out. Canada's transport regulator says it has a huge backlog of customer complaints, but not enough staff to manage them. Ironically, that's part of the problem driving the complaints about airlines. It was revealed this week that Air Canada is denying some customers compensation for canceled flights by deeming the cancellation a safety issue driven by not enough staff. In a positive sign of the times, Cineplex posted its first profit since the pandemic began. Blockbuster hits, including Top Gun and Jurassic World, helped fill the seats. In the 3 months ending June 30th, 11 million people saw movies in its theaters in Canada, helping it earn $1.3 million on sales of close to $350 million. And relaxed masking rules saw concession sales climb as well. The U.S. Senate this week approved a landmark law. The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 contains a host of measures, including lowering the deficit and capping drug costs for seniors. But its centerpiece is $369 billion to combat climate change and encourage green technologies. And in a win for Canada, electric vehicles built here will qualify for U.S. tax credits, something industry here lobbied hard for. And those are your business briefs. 2 men were killed this week when a trench they were digging collapsed in Ajax, Ontario. The tragedy is still under investigation, but as if we needed it, it's a reminder that for some Canadians, a job is a dangerous thing. Tim Hickman was 20 years old when he died on the job in 1996. His mother founded Threads of Life, which has helped thousands of families cope with workplace fatalities. Shirley Hickman is founder of Threads of Life. She's also Tim's mom. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks, Amanda.
And thanks for turning your tragedy into something that helps other people. You know what these families will be going through right now, and I wanted to start there, Shirley. There's a lot we don't know. An investigation will happen on multiple levels. What do you think the families need to know right now? What's the most important thing for somebody whose loved one has died on the job to know?
Yeah, for right now, they'll be dealing with such grief that they don't know where to turn. So the best thing people can do for them is to support them through these next weeks and months during the investigation. They've just entered a world that they don't know anything about, right? We're entering a world of investigations and inquests, and it's a long, long journey.
And of course, answers must be part of what helps as much as anything can help in this kind of situation. Does it take a long time? I know each case will differ, but one gets the sense that it does take months and even years sometimes to get to the bottom of why a tragedy happens.
Yeah, so the investigators certainly take a length of time to do a thorough investigation, not just to investigate what went wrong, but what should be done to prevent further injuries, right? So and that will take at least a year, and then there will be a determination whether it goes to court or not, whether the employers are going to be charged. And all that time, the families are like in limbo.
Is there closure in some of that, Shirley, for the families if there are charges laid, if regulations change as a result? Is that in any way, helpful is the wrong word, I can't think of a better one, but is it, does it soothe some of the pain that you experience?
I think once the families find out what could have been done for prevention, what went wrong, then there is some sense of closure, if there is such a word, because it's an open book. Their life has been changed forever, right? And their future and their dreams have been altered, and whatever they had anticipated to do tomorrow, next year, or retirement, it's all been changed.
One of the things, of course, that is striking about your son Tim's death, about many of these cases, is these are often people in their prime. They're young people, and that is obviously part of the additional sting. Nobody should die on the job. I mean, in this day and age, I guess we know there are still dangerous jobs, surely, but when it feels particularly unnecessary, it feels particularly wrong. In the wake of something like Tim's death, who died in an ice hockey rink of what seemed like a freak accident, are you comforted? Have things changed? Are other people safer today because that tragedy happened?
There are still tragedies happening every day in Canada. 3 workers don't come home. So 3 families' lives have been changed forever. And what can we do as Canadians to change that? That's, I think, a good question for all of us to reflect on.
Shirley, we really appreciate your time and the effort you've made to help others.
Well, I hope the families do okay. Our hearts and prayers are with them. And hopefully someday they'll reach out to Threads of Life for that peer support.
Shirley Hickman, thank you for that. And Shirley is the founder and executive director of Threads of Life, which is a resource for families who have gone through this kind of tragedy. Coming up, hospitals can't find the staff they need. Is more money the answer? Stay with us.